Homies, this is Zach on another video, here to talk to us about our bloodline, our nation, who we are, and how we always come back to who we are. So, the way bloodline DNA sequencing works is basically there's always a code inside of it. And built inside of that code is passed down from generation to generation to generation. So it doesn't even matter who you really are, you'll always go back to the source. This is why in African culture they'll always say, hey, my ancestors. Oh yeah, my dad was like this, you look just like your dad. Oh yeah, man, your great grandpa had this gambling habit, and now the grandson or someone in the lineage may have picked up that same habit. Whatever is in you, whatever is in you is passed down from someone else. Now you can always make another something else inside of you, and that'll be passed down, a gene, a feature. Think about it this way. When we go back to the Bible, there's always names. There's always names spoken. In these names, they're always saying like, oh, and this person came from this person, this guy begat this guy. Even from the lineage of Yahusha, went all the way back to Adam. If we go to David, it goes back to the son of Jesse, his dad. So it's always going to go back to who you came from. Even the tribes of 12 tribes. The tribe of Yehuda, that's going to go back to David. Because that's going to go majority to David, because he's like the main representation of the tribe of Yehuda, because he was the first king and he has a covenant with Yahuwah. Then we got Aharon and tribe of Levi, how that goes down the lineages of Levites, priests. So what am I getting at? In the transatlantic slave trade, there was a time where the wicked heathen, they made us to put it simple, they made us like cattle, the reproductive farm with our people. That there was just men there that get the strongest men, and they just want to reproduce with this woman. Didn't matter if she was like 14, she just got her first period, they'll throw her on that farm so that she can have a baby. And when you think about it, it's like, man, that's horrible. And it is horrible, because basically it affected us in a way that, say the man who did that and he begat a son, now this is just in that son that, oh, it's okay to do this, even though it's not. So there's a genetic code that just makes us run around and just have children and, not care about the children, because you're never going to see that child, because this is what happened to our forefather. But even in that, Yahuwah blessed us. The heathen, in their laughing and their snickering, didn't really know what they were doing, because from that produced a bloodline that the people who they took was royalty. So the children of Dawid who was taken, the princes, now they're in that producing the seed of Dawid. The priests who they took, they're producing other priests. Prophets who were put up in that position producing other prophets. Singers, worshipers, dancers are producing other singers, worshipers, and dancers. And the thing about that is with lineages and bloodlines, is that bloodline will always go back to the source. So even though people may say like, man, I don't feel like I'm in this timeline, I feel like I was born like before now. This goes back to that DNA sequences being activated, and then they feel like they was born a time before, and now they're doing certain things, they're acting a certain way. This goes back to Yasharel. Because of what happened to our forefathers, they produced priests. Now, many of us are priests. They produce the seeds of Dawid. Many of the seeds of Dawid are coming forth. There are prophets coming forth. There are singers and dancers that were reproduced. And now it's in our bloodline, and we are still reproducing that. And Yahuwah's activating those prophets, those kings, those Levites, those priests. Now the priesthood is being restored amongst people who are just like, man, you know, they just read the Torah. There are lawyers who are being done, who came forth. All they do is just study the law all day. That's their whole thing. Just like, man, I'm just studying the law, statutes, and commandments. So we also see this in times past because there was always many uprisings from us. We see that there was an uprising. Well, I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know how to put. I'm still learning how to put things on YouTube and activate videos and put all that stuff together. So I'm just making a video right now, and then later on I could possibly go back and learn how to do that. Because again, this was in my lineage on how to do coding. So there was the First Baptist Church of Africa, and they knew who they were. It activated. Hey, this is who we are. So they started to congregate. And then after congregating, unfortunately, the white people found out. This is why they actually had the white headmasters there to kind of facilitate so we wouldn't wake up to who we were. But they didn't have a white person there. They knew who they were. And what happened was they ended up coming and killing all of them because they don't want us to wake up. But again, even so, here we are today saying, I'm Yehuda. I'm from the 12 tribes of Yasharel, Israel. Because that DNA sequence always says, hey, I'm not just some dumb African out here. I'm more than this. Who am I? Till we start to search and seek. And many of us find ourselves back to where our forefathers were. It's interesting how Yahuwah did this with our bloodlines and DNA. This is also why we see a lot of white people. They come from Edom or cavemen. This is why a lot of them say, man, hey, let's go explore this cave. Hey, let's go hiking up on this mountain, because this is what their forefathers used to do. It's in their bloodline, it's in their DNA sequencing. They have to conquer this mountain no matter what. And a lot of people die going on Mount Everest. Bodies literally can't be buried because it's too dangerous to go up there. Bodies literally sliding down the snow if you actually go and look at the video of that. There are bodies as literal markers of like, hey, this is what can happen. Like they just leave them there in the snow. They don't have a rescue team for them. So, but it's in their DNA that they have to conquer this mountain. They have to walk this path. They have to go to this cave. Even though there's a lot of these caves that get stuck in and die, someone of their people always like, hey, let's go and do this. It's in their DNA, their sequencing. So, Yahuwah, of course, is restoring a bloodline. He's restoring our DNA. He's restoring our sequencing. And this is just a lot he's just been speaking to me about. This is not even really like a lot of research I have to do. It's just Yahuwah just speaking to me about this. And he's like, go tell my people. I'm just like, oh, who am I to say all this stuff? But it's in my DNA, apparently. So this is what I wanted to share with y'all. Stay blessed out here. Shalom and be strong.